What is good, everybody? It's your boy, man, the one and only King Tyson, y'all. We back here for episode 46, y'all. Episode 46, Backlash edition. Appreciate everybody for pulling up with me and watching me. Keep watching me. Keep the comments going, y'all. Appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Appreciate it, man. For real. It's the Raw Smack Talk, man. It's Backlash edition. Also, it was Mother's Day weekend. Hopefully everybody, had a good time with their mothers, enjoyed Mother's Day, had cookouts, whatever, went somewhere with your mother. Hopefully you took your mother out. But anyway, like I said, it's the Raw Smack Talk, y'all. Episode 46, man. It was a beautiful weekend. Hopefully, like I said, it was Mother's Day weekend. Hopefully y'all enjoyed your weekend, everything, and hopefully everything went your way. Well, your mother's way, actually. Hopefully everything went your mother's way, alright? So look, Backlash just passed and shit was crazy. Backlash was crazy, y'all. Backlash was crazy, man. Especially, so put in the comments, man. How would y'all rate Backlash? Put in the comments how would y'all rate Backlash. I give out of one is scale of 1 to 10, of course. I rate Backlash. I give Backlash a cool 7. I give it a 7. Backlash get a 7 for me. So put in the comments, y'all. What do y'all rate Backlash? All right. So look, the first matchup they had for Backlash was the Men's United States Championship, held by the one and only Jacob Fatu, y'all. Jacob Fatu retained his championship. That's what's up. Like I said, I thought Jacob Fatu was going to retain that first. Remember I said I was going for Jacob Fatu, but I was thinking Drew McIntyre was going to win it. But Jacob Fatu retained the championship in the match. The match did not disappoint, y'all. The match did not disappoint. So the turning point for me during the match, y'all, was when they all, did their finishers on one another. That shit was crazy when everybody did their finishers on each other. That was the turning point for me. I was like, God damn. Drew McIntyre did his finishing move. Damian Priest did his finishing move. LA Knight did his. It was pandemonium out there. It was crazy. So, like I was saying, this is a few of the highlights. Jacob Fatu was on fire. He took out LA Knight and Drew McIntyre in the ring. He jumped outside the ring onto Damian Priest, y'all. That shit was crazy. So Drew, then look, y'all, it switched momentum. Drew had the momentum. Then he took out Jacob and he Claymore'd LA Knight. Like I'm saying, the shit was crazy. He Claymore'd LA Knight. So look, as the match was kept going on, Drew McIntyre ended up pinning LA Knight. Then Damian Priest pulled the ref out of the ring, y'all. He pulled the ref out of the ring, and Damian Priest, and then Drew McIntyre looked at Damian Priest like, what the hell? What the hell? He said, what the hell? Drew McIntyre was pissed the fuck off, y'all. He was like, I got screwed again by Damian Priest. He said, this is not happening. This shit is not happening again. I got to beat his ass. So Drew and Damian was fighting outside the ring, and they ended up, fighting over the barricade. They ended up going over the barricade outside the ring. So LA Knight and Jacob Fatu was left in the ring, and Jacob Fatu tried to give LA Knight his finisher move, but he missed that shit. So LA Knight did the elbow drop to Jacob Fatu. And then on the rings, outside the ring, y'all, they had Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre at the tech area. Excuse me. It was at the tech area. And Damian Priest chokeslammed Drew McIntyre off the tech area through some tables. That was some crazy shit right there. So later on in the match, Jacob Fatu was about to get elbowed through the table by the one and only LA Knight. But Solo Sikoa came out, y'all. Solo Sikoa came out and he saved Jacob Fatu from getting elbow dropped. So if somebody came out of the crowd name, I think his name was Jeff Cobbs, y'all. Jeff Cobbs attacked LA Knight. He ended up slamming his face into the ring post multiple times. And then Jeff ended up doing like a body splash to LA Knight onto the ring post, man. That shit was crazy. He smashed his ass. But yeah, he smashed LA Knight. So Jacob Fatu was so confused. He was like, "Who is this guy that Solo brought to the group, to the bloodline, y'all?" So who is Jeff Cobb? I'm surprised. So who is this guy? So Jacob, like I said, Jacob was looking real confused. So Jacob ended up getting in the ring. He did his finishing move to LA Knight, and Jacob Fatu remains the champion, y'all. Jacob Fatu remains the champion. That is crazy. So what is next, y'all, for Jacob Fatu? He remains the champion. So LA Knight is out of the picture. Damian and Drew McIntyre still got unresolved issues. So what is next for Jacob Fatu? I guess we will find out on the next pay-per-view, y'all. So speaking of the next pay-per-view, I won't say the next pay-per-view, but in the upcoming weeks. But next pay-per-view we got lined up, y'all, it is the one and only Money in the Bank. Well, before I get into Money in the Bank, it's not actually Money in the Bank. The next pay-per-view we got lined up is Saturday night's main event, y'all, which is May 24th. May 24th, I believe that is Saturday's night main event, y'all. That's the next main event. So make sure we tune in for that. That's the end of this month, alright? Well, close to the end of the month. And then also, we got the one and only Money in the Bank. The Money in the Bank, y'all, is going to be in Los Angeles, June 7th, alright? And then also at the end of June, they got a lot going on, y'all. They got a lot going on. So also at the end of June, they bringing back the Night of Champions. It's going to be in Saudi Arabia. Alright? So let's keep it pushing. Let's keep it pushing like we always do. How y'all feeling out there, man? Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe to the one and only King Tyson, the Raw Smack Talk episode 46. Let's get it. Backlash edition. So let's talk about Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch. So Lyra retained her championship. Hey, let's give a big shout out to Lyra Valkyria for retaining the championship. So a lot went down with that match as well, y'all. A lot went down with that shit. So a couple of highlights of that match. Lyra put Becky in some type of submission in the beginning of the match. She ended up, swinging her body and shit back and forth. I was like, what kind of shit is this? So what kind of shit is this? But anyway, so at one point, Becky Lynch ended up arguing with the referee because she thought she did something to Lyra Valkyria, but she didn't do shit. The damage was very little, very minimal. And so she ended up pinning Lyra Valkyria, and Lyra popped up at one, and she started arguing with her referee like it was close to the end of the match. Girl, sit your ass down, Becky. Sit your ass down. But anyway, so Lyra was on fire. She ended up kicking Becky in the face, and then she ended up doing a nice ass powerbomb to Becky Lynch. So as the match continued, Lyra suplexed Becky off she did a super suplex to Becky Lynch off the top ropes. And then Becky used the ropes. At one point, Becky used the ropes to pin Lyra Valkyria, but the ref caught her ass. She caught her. She's like, what the hell are you doing? Get your motherfucking hands off the rope. So Lyra did a leg drop to Becky Lynch from the top rope, but that wasn't it. So the match continued, y'all. The match continued. Becky put Lyra in the armbar, and then Lyra put Becky in the armbar. The match was going back and forth. It was a whole lot of back and forth going on. So put in the comments how y'all feel about that match. Did y'all think Becky was gonna win, or did y'all think Lyra Valkyria was gonna win? What was your predictions? So later on in the match, Becky tried to hit Lyra with the steel chair. She was tired of the shit, so she was like, "Let me beat this bitch with a steel chair real quick." But you know, she would have used the steel chair. Lyra would have still been the champion anyway, because that was it was a disqualification match. It was a regular match, put like that. It was a regular fucking match. So Becky did her finisher where Becky did a manhandle slam to Lyra Valkyria, but Lyra ended up kicking out of that shit again. So Becky was going crazy at this point. She was like, what the fuck do I gotta do to finish Lyra Valkyria off? So Lyra did her finisher move to Becky. Lyra did her finisher move to Becky, but the ref was worrying about the pad in the corner that Becky took off early in the match. So it was a delay. So Becky ended up popping up from that. So Becky ended up poking Lyra in her eyeballs, and then she pinned Lyra, but Lyra reversed it, and then Lyra pinned Becky, and the ref counted at 3, and that was it, y'all. Lyra remained the champion. She remained the champion. So at the end of the match, Becky Lynch started to attack Lyra Valkyria after the match, y'all. She was pissed the fuck off. She was mad as a bitch. So Lana remains the champion, y'all. So we're gonna keep it pushing to Penta versus Dom for the man's Intercontinental Championship or the man's IC Championship. I forgot what we call it, IC. But anyway, Dirty Dom remains the champion. Dirty Dom keeps his championship, y'all, due to you know, the Judgment Day. It was a lot going on in this match as well, y'all. So put in the comments how y'all feel about Dirty Dom. Well, I feel that the crowd is loving Dirty Dom right now. The crowd is loving Dirty Dom. So that match, so Dirty Dom did a suicide dive. The beginning of the match, Dirty Dom did a suicide dive DDT to Penta outside the ring. That was crazy. That was some sweet ass shit right there. That shit was dope as hell. But anyway, both Penta and Dom was switching momentums. Dom did the Oblivion. Look, y'all, Dom did the Oblivion to Penta. He did Liv Morgan's move. I was like, what the hell is he doing? So he ended up doing the Oblivion to Penta, but that did not do anything. They didn't work, so Penta kicked up out of that pin. So later on in the match, Penta did a Mexican Destroyer to Dom on the apron. I was like, God dang. He almost broke his motherfucking neck on that shit. Anyway, so after that, the Judgment Day ended up coming out. Like I said, the Judgment Day came out. Carlito just scratched the ref while JD and Finn tried to hit Penta with a steel chair, y'all. So Finn was taking too long, you know, trying to grab the steel chair, but the ref ended up catching all of them. So the ref ended up kicking out the Judgment Day. They kicked the Judgment Day out of from the match, and Penta ended up taking out JD and Carlito. He jumps on them. So Finn, later on in the match, Finn distracts the ref, and El Grande Americano, y'all. Grande Americano comes out. He headbutt the shit out of Penta while Penta was on the top rope, and Dirty Dom did the frog splash to Penta, and that was the match, y'all. It was a lot going on. Like I said, it was a lot going on at Backlash. So we're gonna keep it moving. A little announcement. Just a little announcement. CM Punk returns, you know, on Monday Night Raw. So make sure y'all tune in this Monday for the return of CM Punk. Alright, and also, like I said, Saturday night's main event is May 24th. You know, make sure y'all tune in for that. Saturday night's main event is May 24th, and the main event for that is gonna be Jey Uso versus Logan Paul, y'all. So that's gonna be the match we was all waiting for. Jey Uso versus Logan Paul at Saturday night's main event. Let's keep it pushing, y'all. We almost through it. Let's keep it pushing. So look, we had Pat McAfee versus Gunther. Remember, I was like, Gunther's gonna beat the shit out of Pat McAfee, but that didn't really necessarily happen. That ain't necessarily happen. Pat McAfee did his thing. He had a few moves up his sleeve. But anyway, let's get into that match. Gunther ended up winning that match right there. He choked the shit out of Pat McAfee. Pat, you know, falling asleep on his ass. So anyway, Gunther, at the beginning of the match, Gunther pats Pat McAfee on the top of his head like he was a damn dog. So Pat McAfee ended up punching Gunther in his fucking face. So look, y'all, at one point, y'all, did y'all see when Pat McAfee tried to jump over the ropes and he failed? I was like, oh shit. Said that was an embarrassment. I said, Pat need to get back into the training center real fast. But anyway, he tried to jump over the ropes and hit Gunther, and he ended up falling, you know, slipping over the ropes and shit. So later on in the match, Pat and Gunther, you know, was slapping each other in their chest and shit. But Gunther puts Pat down with his chop. He slaps the shit out of his chest and zow! Slaps the shit out of his chest. He ended up knocking Pat McAfee down. So Gunther puts Pat McAfee in the sleeper, y'all, but Pat, you know, grabs the ropes, and Gunther gave Pat McAfee a back German suplex at that point. After he grabbed the rope, and then Pat McAfee let go, Gunther just suplex his ass. Say, motherfucker. But anyway, Pat does a backflip onto Gunther, but he ended up missing. He tried to do a backflip move, but he misses. But he landed on his feet, y'all. Pat McAfee ended up landing on his feet, but Gunther did another back suplex to Pat McAfee, but he landed on his feet again. So this one Pat McAfee had momentum right here, y'all. So Pat ended up kicking Gunther in his back, and then Gunther powerbombed Pat McAfee. He did his finisher move, and then he put Pat McAfee in a Boston Crab, y'all. He put a Pat McAfee in a Boston Crab, and at this point, Michael Cole got involved. Michael Cole got involved right here, y'all. Michael Cole started cheering Pat on, and then Gunther pulls Michael Cole into the ring, and he was about to put Michael Cole. Well, he's about to powerbomb Michael Cole, but Pat McAfee ended up kicking Gunther off of Mike. And Michael Cole tried to help. Pat McAfee by holding Gunther's feet down when Pat was pinning him. But Gunther puts, like I said, he put him in the sleeper again, and that was it. He put Pat McAfee in the sleeper, and the ref rung the bell. He's like, he's out. So at the end of that match, y'all, Gunther showed respect to Pat McAfee. I was shocked. He didn't show respect to Jey Uso. So what the hell? So Pat McAfee did a good job, yo. Good job though. But although he did have a couple literally slip-ups, he did slip up a couple times. So kudos to Pat McAfee in that match right there. So he get a little bit more training, Pat McAfee will be a beast. He will be a beast. But anyway, we're gonna keep it pushing, y'all. This is the main event. The main event for the day. So look, we got John Cena versus Randy Orton for the Undisputed Championship. And guess who won that match? The one and only, the GOAT, John Cena, y'all, retained his title. So kudos to John Cena. Big ups to John Cena, actually. Big ups to John Cena retaining the championship. So let's go over a couple of highlights of that shit. That was crazy, man. That was crazy. So look. At one point, John Cena tried to lead the match because Randy Orton was beating his ass. John Cena was like, man, I don't need this motherfucking match. He was like, fuck this shit. Randy Orton ended up coming behind John Cena, beating his ass, he attacked him from behind. And then John and Randy both, had momentum. They were switching momentums. But John, with his momentum, John gave Randy Orton the 5-knuckle shuffle. Y'all did a 5-knuckle shuffle. And then Randy Orton with multiple clotheslines, and he DDT'd John Cena. He DDT'd the shit out of John Cena. So Randy tried to RKO John Cena, but John reversed it, of course. John Cena ended up giving Randy Orton the attitude adjustment. Y'all gave him an attitude adjustment, and the match continued. Randy and John went back and forth with punches, and then John Cena gave Randy Orton the AA attitude adjustment. Y'all, the shit was crazy. The match was crazy. I thought it was over after the second AA, but Randy Orton popped up from that. So later on in the match, Randy RKO'd John Cena out of nowhere. John Cena, was building momentum, doing his shoulder attacks to Randy, but Randy Orton just RKO'd the shit out of his ass. But John Cena popped up from that. Then John Cena tried to punt Randy Orton. Y'all, he tried to punt Randy Orton, but John Cena missed the Randy Orton. And then Randy Orton runs into John, and John puts Randy into the fucking referee. The referee was knocked out. And then at this point, John Cena AA Randy Orton again, y'all, but there was no referee in sight. It was crazy. The match was crazy. AA his ass. So John Cena, goes out the ring and grabs the title, y'all. He grabs the title, and then Randy Orton gets up and RKO John Cena again. He RKO'd the shit out of John Cena. So they was outside at this point. So outside the ring, John Cena pushed Randy Orton into the ref because Randy Orton was about to put John Cena through the table when the referee was arguing with the ref. But John Cena came out of nowhere and pushed Randy Orton to the ref. The referee was out, y'all. The referee was knocked out. So Randy Orton, Randy Orton gave John Cena the attitude adjustment on the announce table, and then he went and grabbed another table out the front of the ring and John Cena again through that table, y'all. The match was crazy. It was lit. The match was crazy. So look, the match is crazy. Like I was saying, as the match continued, Randy Orton RKO John Cena in the ring, but the referee was still down. It was still down. So as the ref got up, John Cena hit the ref. He was trying to hit Randy Orton with the title, but he hit the referee with the title. It was a new referee in the ring, but as a new ref got in the ring, John Cena tried to hit Randy, and Randy ducked, and he hit the ref, knocked out the new referee. And then Randy Orton RKO'd John Cena again, y'all. He RKO'd his ass again. There was no ref. Both referees was out. So all of a sudden, Nick Aldis and more officials came out. They was like, there's no referees. They was going crazy. They was all out there. So Randy Orton was snapping in the ring, y'all. Randy Orton was snapping. So Randy Orton ended up RKO'ing Nick Aldis and all the officials that came out with Nick. He RKO'd everybody. It was bodies all over the fucking ring. So at this point, Randy Orton lines up John for the punt. But R-Truth, y'all, R-Truth, the one and only R-Truth, comes out and stops Randy. And Randy Orton RKO's R-Truth, and he was like, why? Why the fuck did you get right here? He was like, why, motherfucker, why? So John Cena gave Randy Orton, he low blowed the shit out of Randy Orton at this point, and then he hit him with the championship. Finally hit Randy Orton with the championship across the fucking head, and he pinned. The referee counted 3, and that was the match, y'all. That was the match. Gosh almighty, John Cena retains the championship. So and it wasn't over. So look, at the end of the match, John Cena says, he was like, cut the music. He was like, I don't need no music, and I don't need the WWE universe. And he says, this is what the last real champion looks like. I was like, whoa, John Cena. What's next for John Cena? Who's next? Who's next, y'all? Who's next to face John Cena? Put it in the comments. Who y'all think is next to face John Cena? Who will be John Cena's next victim? Who will be John Cena's next victim? But anyway, that was the Backlash edition, y'all, of the Raw Smack Talk, man. I appreciate y'all for pulling up with your boy, man. And I will see y'all on Monday Night Raw for the Monday Night Raw recap. Alright? So like I said on every episode, y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but you're right here with the one and only King Tyson. And I'm out. And I'll see y'all on episode 47.